It's my music top 10, and we're at 1971. Let's get straight into it. At number 10, Sitting In by Loggins and Messina. Now, Messina had done some work with Buffalo Springfield and Poco, and was a well-regarded producer, writer, and of course guitarist. Loggins, however, was a little-known sort of country acoustic singer, but when they got together to make Sitting In, it magically turned to gold. And some of the tracks on here are magical. Danny's song, the Back to Georgia, which is the rocky country beginning, a trilogy involving Peace of Mind, and my favourite, The House on Pooh Corner. At 9, it's Led Zeppelin, album 4, The Symbols. Now, I must confess that I don't really like this album much, but I had to put it in the top 10 because of really one incredible 9 minutes of music and two pretty strong cuts as well. Black Dog, the rock and roll starter, and the Battle of Avonmore are great songs. But of course the piece de resistance is Stairway to Heaven, the 9 minute plus magical piece of music written by Robert Plant and Jimmy Page. So that's why it's at 9. At 8, it's Marvin Gaye, What's Going On. Now, this was the first album that Gaye made after he had a sit down with Berry Gordy at Tamla Motown Records and basically said, either I write my own stuff or I'm off. And so Gordy gave way and Gaye was given complete license to record what he wanted, sing what he wanted, and play what he wanted. The result was this masterpiece, What's Happening, Brother, the title track, memorable classics. At number 7, it's the Rolling Stones, Sticky Fingers. Following on from the brilliant Beggars Banquet, Sticky Fingers was almost as good. Some strong tracks throughout, both Jagger and Richard on top form. Wild Horse is a lovely ballad. Brown Sugar, a top 10 single hit. And a couple of blues. I Got the Blues and You Gotta Move make out for a fantastic album. At 6, it's the Byrds, Bird Maniacs. The Byrds were coming to the end of their illustrious career when this came out, but it's probably my favourite. There's some gems on here, and it cuts across all sort of genres. There's a little bit of blues, there's a little bit of country, there's a little bit of rock, there's a little bit of pop, you name it. Pale Blue, Glory, Glory. The Tunnel of Love, which is magnetic, with McGuinn really coming to the fore. And my favourite, Jamaica Say You Will, later done by Jackson Browne. To 5 then, Message from the Country, The Move. I must confess, I really didn't hear this album in 1971, and in fact only caught up with it about 3 or 4 years ago. And grace for God, thankfully I found it. What a piece of pop classic. Roy Wood, Jeff Lynne, what a partnership. Ella James and Message from the Country, the standouts. To 4 then, and it's the Mahavishnu Orchestra, The Inner Mountain Flame. Not long after this was released, I actually got to see them live. John McLaughlin, a well-established jazz guitar player who was regarded as one of the greatest in the world, decided that he wanted to change his style a little, and he wanted to be in a band. So he recruited Billy Cobham on drums, Rick Laird on bass, Jan Hammer on keyboards, and Jerry Goodman on electric violin. So cometh Mahavishnu Orchestra. This is an absolute beauty. You know, Lotus on Irish Streams, and the hauntingly morbid The Dance of Maya. Check it out. At 3, David Bowie, Hunky Dory. This is one of my favourite Bowie albums, but to be honest, you can't get past the 3 singles. They always draw you to it. Oh You Pretty Thing, Life on Mars, and Changes. Well, I still miss him. And up to 2, it's the second album by Genesis, Nursery Crime. Well, this is the album when Gabriel came to the fore with his absolutely magnificent lyrical style and his costume style vocal deliveries. The songs are like individual pieces of child fiction as they come to life. The infamous The Musical Box, which comes straight out of Alice in Wonderland almost. And then the Return of the Giant Hogweed, a fantastic illustration of childhood fantasy. And then the final track, The Fountain of Salmacis, which it drowns you in happiness. What a tremendous piece of work. But it was nudged out of the top spot by Aqualung, Jethro Tull. This is my favourite album by Jethro Tull, along with Stand Up. I took to it immediately. The rock songs are absolutely tremendous. The title song, My God, and Locomotive Breath. But the gentle folk-like melody songs are just as good. Just remember Mother Goose. So that's it. That's my top 10 from 1971. Just a quick mention, this was the year that we lost the great Jim Morrison to a heart attack. He was found dead in a bathtub in Paris, and consequently it was the last album that the Doors released with him on it, LA Woman. I'm sorry it couldn't get into the top 10. It would have any other year. Okay, that's my shoot on 7.